12 hours of Sebring culminate a week of inspection, practice, adjustments. The same concentration and expertise are evident in the drivers of the smaller, lighter cars as in the 180-mile-an-hour speedsters, and they're just as determined to win. Sebring gives them that chance. National Speed Sports News Editor Chris Economaki has the details.
There are three types of cars in the Sebring race. Grand Touring cars or GTs, GT Prototype, and sports racing. Sebring is primarily for GT cars. For 44 of the 70 entrants are in this category, divided into three international divisions according to engine size. The divisions are further subdivided into international classes, each with its own trophy and cash purse. Here are the cars. Grand Touring Division 1, 100 horsepower. Speeds up to 125 miles an hour. Cars such as the Triumph Spitfire, the redoubtable MG Midget. Grand Touring Division 2, up to 200 horsepower. Speeds of 145 miles an hour. The dependable Porsche 904, the spirited Alfa Romeo GTZ, and the stoic Volvo P1800. Grand Touring Division 3, the Big Iron, cars of unlimited horsepower. On the backstretch, 180 miles an hour. Aerodynamic Ford Cobras, husky Corvette Stingrays, and elegant Ferrari GTOs. These, then, are the machines of Sebring. Cars with a top speed of 100 to 180 miles an hour, costing as little as a $2,000 British import to the over $100,000 experimental factory prototypes. All here for one purpose, to win.
To win means to drive farther in 12 hours than anyone else. The lightweight, high-powered sports racers and prototype speedsters are given the best chance for overall. And this year, American cars are prepared to challenge Ferrari's traditional dominance with the most formidable array of power and speed ever assembled. Ferrari's chief antagonist, Shelby, has a brace of the beautiful Ford GTs and a stable of his newly styled Ford Cobras. And international star Dan Gurney will be running under the Shelby banner in the sports racing category with his own design, Lotus 19.
We're going to be pushing it pretty hard, I think. In other words, we're not sure just how fast it will go. We are running a spare engine here. We don't have our best shot, and we're going to have to push it pretty hard to turn a respectable time.
What other cars in the race are you primarily concerned with?
Well, the Chaparrals, Jim Hall's cars.
Far and away favorite, if they last, are the Jim Hall-designed Chaparrals. Hall won the American Road Racing Championship last year in his plastic-bodied automatic transmission Chaparral. His practice time is a good 9 seconds under the all-time record. But Hall has never subjected his lightweight Chevy-powered innovations to an endurance test before. Hall's strategy?
We intend to run with whoever's leading it, unless it's us, and we're going to take off. So that's the plan of the race.
Who do you think your competition's going to come from?
Well, it'll come from, of course, over the long haul, it'll come from Ferrari probably, but the Ford GTs and Dan Gurney probably run pretty strong for a while.
Jim, people inside the sport feel that a sports car can't go 12 hours here. As a builder of this Chaparral, what are your views on that opinion?
Well, it's a long race, Chris. We've never tried to run the cars this distance before, but I think they're going to do it.
Whether they can do it is the key question. The sports car's power to weight advantage is balanced on the other side by their unproven reliability in endurance races, and everyone's basing strategy on that factor. Ford GT and Cobra boss Shelby.
We're going to keep the opposition humping, and we feel that by doing this that we have as good or better chance to finish than any of the other cars. The Chaparrals won't go flat out. They'll try to go as slow as they can. Dan will just go fast enough to keep them going at what we hope will be a braking pace for them. The Ford GTs will probably be running fairly closely behind them, and all we're doing with the Cobras is trying to stay ahead of the other GT cars so that we get the World's Championship points.
The factory Ferrari team has boycotted the race. Enzo Ferrari, whose cars have dominated the International Road Racing Championships and won here the last 4 years, officially withdrew when the very fast sports cars were admitted. Nevertheless, there are 8 prototype Ferraris and 1 GT entered by private owners, and a full contingent of factory mechanics to care for them. International stars Pedro Rodriguez and Graham Hill are driving a 4-liter prototype, one of the most promising. But Hill, too, is aware of the sports car issue.
We're not competitive with them. I think the only chance we have is, of course, to try and last out. It might be possible that we will last the race and they might be a little more fragile than us, being somewhat lighter, and with any luck, they might all break down.
While the big iron pilots speculate on strategy to whip the Chaparrals, lesser-powered GT drivers are concerned about their competition and prospects for victory. Joe Buzzetta, Porsche 904, Class 10.
We want to finish and try to keep the revs down as low as possible. As far as the other competition in the race is concerned, of course, we're always worried about the other Porsches. However, the Fiat A-Boss, particularly the 2-liter, have proven very fast so far, and we're a little concerned about them. And, of course, the Alfas are always a threat because they usually seem to be in there finishing.
The 4-car Alfa Romeo team is headed by Italian champ Roberto Buzzanello.
What is his plan in the race?
Ha detto così, cosa intende fare durante le corse?
Durante questa corsa in particolare di condurre la macchina alla fine.
He said he wants to take the car at the end of the race.
E di vincere la fine.
To finish the race and win in his class.
Now, who does he see as his competition in class?
Quali sono le macchine nella sua stessa categoria?
La Lotus Elan, il Porsche Carrera e la Volvo.
I think to hear what he said.
Yeah, I think so. The Porsche, the Lotus, and the Volvo is his competition.
In the important Grand Touring Division 1 contest, a brace of MG midgets have been impressive in practice. And Triumph has a trio of its new Spitfires. There are class victories in the prototype category, too. Paddy Hopkirk, Austin-Healey Sprite.
Well, we're here to try and win our class, which is the prototype class from 1,000 to 1,300 cc, and if we can do that, we'll be very happy.
But how do you go about doing that? Are you going to take it real easy?
Oh, no. We've got to go like hell, more or less, and let's hope everything holds together.
In the heavyweight category, Shelby's sleek Cobras dominate. A single Ferrari is his only challenge to a clean sweep of GT Division 3 and the important World Championship points. Carroll Shelby has 4 Daytona Coupes, carrying his hopes for an international win in the GT class, all using Castrol oil exclusively. Adams and Spencer pilot number 16. Bob Bondurant and Joe Schlesser are assigned to number 15, while careful mechanics labor over the number 14 of Johnson and Payne and the number 12 of Leslie and Grant. The eve of race day is the moment of truth in the garages, the final chance to sort out the problems before the green flag falls. Shelby American Competitions Director Al Dowd supervises the efficient operation and works, too. The paraphernalia of winning is everywhere. The intense rhythm of the work that goes on here has been born of many such evenings in many such garages. Champion driver Bob Johnson put something of himself in the preparation of his car. Cobra, in just 3 short years, has become the big American name in world racing, and Castrol is proud to be associated with Carroll Shelby, proud to be a part of this dedicated search for automotive excellence, proud to have been chosen as the official Cobra motor oil, proud and hopeful that after 12 hours of grueling competition, there will be a victory. Record crowd converges. The anticipated American challenge to Ferrari, the exciting inter-class struggles, the sheer excitement of Sebring has drawn more than 60,000 fans under sunny skies. The pressure builds. Ford GT pilot Richie Ginther enjoys a moment of peace and contemplation on the starting line.
Joe has the official watch running.
In a minute, one of the great moments in racing.
He's got a furrow now, holding it low.
Sebring, Florida, minutes before 10 on a hot March morning. 67 cars, 67 drivers, 60,000 spectators all waiting for Jesse Coleman's flag. Jim Hall and Ronnie Hissam leap into the Chaparral. Delmo Johnson's lightweight Corvette is first away and streaks past the slower starters. Ed Leslie's hit from behind. His engine catches fire. Phil Hill and crewmen are firemen now and quench the blaze. Johnson leads into the S's, but Ginther's Ford GT is hotly in pursuit. From the Goodyear blimp at the hairpin turn, Ginther takes advantage of the long warehouse straight to pass Johnson and take the lead. Ginther takes the pack through the Webster, a demanding hard right, hard left turn. Californian Richie Ginther locks onto first with a fleet Ford GT and heads for the last leg to give him first lap honors. But he's got trouble. Cannon in the Lola, followed by the Chaparrals, takes over. A disgusted Ginther observes from the pit wall as mechanics check his complaint of braking problems. It's finally diagnosed as a stone jammed in a brake caliper, but Carroll Shelby is as impatient as Ginther and says so before the first lap leader can finally get back into action. Meantime, Gurney and Hall have passed Cannon's Lola and lead over the pack. The number 30 4-liter Ferrari, Rodriguez at the wheel, is third as they settle down in the early laps. Hall got past Gurney briefly in the back, only to be passed by Gurney's Ford Lotus on the long straight. And from the Goodyear blimp, we see the two of them take the timer stand turn and onto the pit straight amongst the tail enders. Gurney's pre-race plan: keep the Chaparrals honest, don't let them rest. Hall's plan: see what Gurney's up to, don't let him hold us back. And so the Roadrunner chases the Rabbit in a high-speed duel of wits. Hall tires of the game and passes Gurney to take the lead going into the 9th lap. Into the second hour, and Gurney stays in the same lap with Hall, keeping him in sight. Their pace is blistering, and they quickly outdistance all pursuers. Only 6 cars on the same lap with them now. Retired Chaparral team driver Roger Penske helps in the pits and signals Hall it's time for fuel. Gurney takes the lead now as Hall slows for his stop. Hall's crew is ready for a quick change. Refuel and driver's change, all is planned. The boiling sun and 130-degree track temperatures show on Hall's face. But he's happy with the car as Hap Sharp takes over and chases after Gurney. Gurney's first now, but the quick Chaparral stop has kept Sharp in the same lap, and he turns it on after Gurney. Sharp sets a race record of over 104 miles per hour. A half hour later, and Gurney pits, but it's permanent, a broken fuel pump drive. Reporter Economaki asks how the car performed to this point.
Just beautiful. Crying out loud, we're getting wonderful mileage. All the temperatures are under control. The brakes are working great. It's just running great.
Dan, it's early in the day. Will you move over to another car?
Nope.
No, I'm just going to watch.
Going home.
While the Big Iron is settling the lead, the steady excitement in the lesser-powered Grand Touring category builds. The Buzzetta Porsche 904, followed closely by the Underwood Klass Porsche, are first and second in GT Class 10, 7 laps behind the leaders. Roberto Busanello and Andre Diamadic lead Class 9 in their Alfa GTZ. And the sleek Hedges Mac MG Midget leads the Triumph Spitfires in Classes 7 and 8. Hopkirk's prototype Austin-Healey and the Le Mans Healey prototype are midway in the pack, showing surprising speed. Up front, meantime, Hall and Sharp are setting a blistering pace. Lap averages over 100 miles an hour. They're 3 laps, 15 miles ahead of the second-place Rodriguez Hill Ferrari prototype. The Miles McLaren 4 GT, running third overall, second prototype in the same lap with number 30. First overall GT is the number 15, Bondurant Schlesser Cobra 3 laps behind. Piper and Maggs, meantime, in a fantastic run, have moved from 54th at the start to 8th overall, 4 hours into the race. And Walt Hansgen in the 275 LM rear-engine Ferrari prototype is 11th overall with co-driver Mark Donohue. Hall and Sharp, fearful of the predicted afternoon showers, are starting to turn it on. They've increased their lead to 5 laps now. The Hissam-Jennings Chaparral pits. A voltage regulator has to be replaced. The only trouble for the Chaparral so far, and that may mean trouble for the lead car. The second-place car is in. Rodriguez has lost a gear and seems to be having gearbox difficulties. The 4-liter prototype has been a steady second, but no match for the Chaparral. We're approaching the halfway point, and the weather becomes more threatening. Hall and Sharp decide on more insurance and lengthen their lead. Reporter Economaki has the halfway statistics.
The race is half over. 6 hours have come and gone. And the intense sun that prevailed early today has been replaced by ominous rain clouds. At the halfway mark, Jim Hall and his powerful Chaparral leading with co-driver Hap Sharp 26 miles ahead of the opposition. The second-place Ferrari driven by Pedro Rodriguez and Graham Hill of England. In third place, the Ford GT, handled by Ken Miles and Bruce McLaren. In the little cars, the production GTs that so many people are interested in Class 7 and 8, the MG Midget, with Hedges and Mack doing the driving, is the leader. In Class 9, it's the Alfa TZ leading a triumvirate of these little Italian cars, with Francis Constant and Roland doing the driving. In Class 10, dependable, streamlined Porsche, a 904 with Pon of Holland and Buzzetta of the United States at the wheel.
It looks like the Chaparral strategy may have been warranted. Rain is definitely a threat. And there it is. The first overall GT Cobra of Schlesser and Bondurant sloshes through the 6-inch deep river along the pit straight. It's the worst deluge ever recorded at Sebring. Drivers report sitting in water up to their elbows. The closed cars are doing the best of all. The Leslie Grant Cobra pit, or ties up might be more accurate, as mechanics wade into their job. Positions begin to change now. The number 30 Rodriguez Hill Ferrari loses ground. More gearbox trouble. The tiny Austin-Healey prototype finds the wet to its liking, and so do the Porsches. Hall's car can barely crawl. 1 lap took 12 minutes. The high-powered Schlesser Bondurant Cobra watches a tiny Austin-Healey Sprite sail by on the slick surface. And the Hedges Mac MG Midget moves easily through the wet as night begins to fall. The rain has slackened now, but the new pit wall acts like a dike, keeping the straight deep enough to wade in. The Hall Sharp car picks up the pace as the rain lets up. The Johnson-Payne Cobra finds a pit stop just as frustrating as its teammate earlier, and nightfall doubles the problem for the harassed driver. Harried pit workers and officials take stock. The track has dried some, but positions have changed. The Hall Sharp Chaparral leads, but now by 6 laps. The Rodriguez Hill Ferrari is out, broken clutch. Miles and McLaren in the number 11 Ford GT are now second, with the number 31 Piper Maggs Ferrari third after a magnificent stint in the rain. The number 15 Cobra of French champ Joe Schlesser and Californian Bob Bondurant is fourth, first GT. And the Pon Buzzetta Porsche 904, fifth. McLaren in the second place GT gets his time from the pits as they plunge on through the darkness. The lead Chaparral is called in with just over an hour left. No lights as Sharp brings the Chaparral in. Same problem as with number 4 earlier, the voltage regulator. But Hall's crew is prepared, and Jim takes the car out for the final hour, comfortably in first place. Piper Maggs Ferrari pits for gas and a driver change. They're 7 laps behind in third place. Only threat now, the still wet track and the possibility of an accident. His crew shows place 1 on his last pit signal of the race. And Jim Hall takes the checker from Jesse Coleman, bringing pandemonium and well-earned happiness to the Chaparral pit. In a moment, the winners. Blake Underwood and Gunter Klass passed their sister Pon Buzzetta Porsche 904 to take first Class 10, 5th overall. In Class 7 and 8, Andy Hedges and Roger Mack drove beautifully to finish 5 laps ahead of their competition. French stars Jean Roland and Bernard Costin brought the number 58 Alfa home first in Class 9. And in victory lane, everyone's plaudits for the Texas geniuses Hall and Sharp. The rain made any overall records impossible, but the revolutionary Chaparral set lap records with ease, finally to better than 104 miles per hour. Economaki talks with Hall.
Jim, congratulations to you. It was a big day. How long has it been since an all-American car won a major international Grand Prix?
I don't know, Chris. I don't know.
Well, how about the automobile?
Ready to run another one.
Second overall, first prototype. The very quick Ford GT of Miles and McLaren. And rounding out the American triumph for the first GT, Shelby's Bondurant Schlesser piloted number 15 Cobra. A stunning all-American victory in a record-shattering 15th annual Sebring Grand Prix. Shelby wins important points to add to his championship advantage over Ferrari. The Chaparral rewrites the history books, and a damp but enthusiastic crowd of 60,000 takes away memories of an unforgettable Sebring 1965. Goodyear blimp, courtesy Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company.